Good night, how everyone doing tonight? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J, a spiritual divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight, and the topic gonna be trust God in your storm. Okay, knowing that your strength come from the Lord. Okay, this story really about David. When remember he had to fight that big giant, he knew he ain't had enough strength to really fight that big giant, but he had so much confidence in God that he can, and he did beat that giant. So we all have to realize that in our storm, we can't beat the devil and nothing else in our own strength. We have to trust God and put so much confidence in God that we can beat anything in our storm, anything that come our way. We can beat it, but we have to put our trust and confidence in God, because see, God fight our battle. We don't fight our battle. We don't have the kind of strength to beat anything in our battle. We have to turn it over to the Lord. So we have to give him confidence, knowing that He gonna be there to fight our battle. Now the Lord is our strength. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Now I will strengthen you and uphold you with my righteous right hand. And that's what he do. That's what he do with me. He be howling me up and stuff like that, fighting my battle. I'm not fighting my battle with my own strength, not with my own self. Cause one be for God on my side, no matter what, no matter what I be at. So we're gonna look at Second Chronicles chapter 12, verse 9 to 10. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And see, God work better in our weakness. Sometimes He'll let our battle go so far gone, because that's when He show His power and His glory in our battle when it gets so far gone. When we in our weakness, that's when He'll step in and show His power. So therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness and insult in hardship and persecution and difficulty. For when I am weak, then I am strong. A lot of time I was weak in my battle. I thought I was gonna make it. I asked God to give me strength. So where I'm weak, I'm strong. Because I get strength out of nowhere. And sometimes you could be so weak in your battle. Just keep on fighting the devil. Keep on fighting spiritual warfare. You just fighting everything until you start losing your strength. But when you strong, when you weak, you strong, because God will give you strength. And you have to have trust, and you have to have confidence in God. And you could do anything. You could do anything, but you can't do it on your own strength. You will get weak. You will get weak. So you have to turn it over to God to give you strength. Sometimes you need a second wind to keep on going. So on Psalms 27 say, some trust in chariots and some trust in horses. But for me, I will trust in the name of the Lord. Now you remember when David was getting dressed to fight that giant. You remember Saul trying to dress him up with all kinds of stuff. And he couldn't hardly stand up and walk. He said, I can't fight up in this here. He said, well, what you gonna wear? He said, I'm not gonna wear nothing. I'm going out there in the name of the Lord. And all he needed was his slingshot. And he had trust and confidence in God that he was gonna take that giant down. And he took that giant down. He said he didn't need to wear all that stuff. Saul tried to dress him with all kind of stuff, weapon all around him and stuff, all around his shoulder. All that stuff was so heavy on him, he couldn't even walk. He took all that off. And Saul asked him, well, what you gonna need? What you gonna use? He said, all I need is to trust in the name of the Lord. And all I need is my slingshot. And he took that giant down. He went out there, he was a little teenager. He just went out there so brave. So when you got trust in God and you got so much confidence, you're going to walk out there, you're going to stand up against anybody that just talk, knowing you got God right there on side. He has so much confidence in God. And we all saw how big that giant was, and he took that giant down. And he not only took it down, he said he want to take his head off, and he did just that. So I'm gonna read this here I have in my own study Bible. David Lee and engaged in many military battles in his lifetime. David was in the military. David also worked in the field with animals taking their head off. So that's why he told that giant, I'm going to take your head off. But he is equally well acquainted with the moral battles common to us all. Now, in any altercation with any enemy, be it physical or spiritual, David's confidence is not in himself or his resources, but in the power, in the authority of the Lord. You see, his confidence and his power and his authority was in the Lord. He went out there with so much confidence, knowing that he was going to take that giant down. So when he is a boy and fractures the giant, he proclaimed that the battle is the Lord. And that's what it is. The battle. See, our battle is for the Lord. The Lord will fight your battle. We just got to have confidence to stand up to our and to our giants, and God, and leave it up to God to do the rest, so that the battle is the Lord, So he knows he could not. He know he is not no match for that giant. When he went out there, he already knew he wasn't no match for that giant. You know, he doesn't rush in his own strength or weapon. Instead, he had absolute confidence in his victorious God. And that early face-off enduring the battle throughout his life, David recalled his confidence that only God's strength and resources can fully trust. Now, we can fully trust God. We may not understand. It might not even seem like it's right, but trust me, God always know exactly what He's doing, because God planned everything from the beginning to the end. So when we encounter spiritual battle in our own life, we can use David faith to remind ourselves that who rules the battlefield. So we have to remember who rules the battlefield. You know, that's what I was just saying today among my own self. God rules this whole world. So all the battles that the battle is for Him. He rules the battle. He rules the world. All He need us to just stand, have confidence and trusting in Him. We got to have confidence that we can stand up with our stone, knowing that God is fighting our battle. David was a teenager, and he had so much confidence in God. He went out there, he know he couldn't beat that big old giant, but he had trusted God and he had confidence. God must have told him, God didn't meet that giant. He ain't asked no question. He just went out there with confidence and his swing shot, and it did the job. Now, David faith remind us ourselves that who rules the battlefield. Now, Satan may launch all his power of darkness against us, but God will have victory. Depend on it. Now, He's saying depend on it. Satan may rule everything and may seem like he's powerful, but David letting us know that God ruled the battlefield, the battleground. God ruled all that. So no matter how powerful the devil is over our life, over our stone, God is more powerful than the devil. And so that means we have to put trust in God, not in the devil. We have to put trust in God, knowing that He will fight our battle. He just needed us to go out there and face our giant. So in our battle, I didn't come out of my battle with my own strength, but with God's strength. It won't be for God that was on my side. I want to be where I am today. You know, we have to put our trust in God. Because we have to remember, if David didn't have trust and confidence in God, that giant would have tore him into pieces. If I didn't have trust and believe in God, that God would come up with a plan, that God was going to pull me out of it, I would still be sitting in a pit. You know, so we have to look back and have to realize that God is our strength, that we can fight anything that come our way, long as we trust God, believe that He gonna fight our battle, and we got to have confidence, knowing that we can beat any storm that come our way. We can defeat the devil. Anything the devil come our way. I know I defeat him in all kind of ways. All kind of tests came my way. You know, so when we up against the devil, we have to know that we can beat anything that the devil come against us with, but not with our own strength, but with God's strength. You know, God's God said, don't put your trust in chariots and horses. Put your trust in the name of the Lord. You know, so but I pray to God, trusting and having confidence in God that I will win. You know, I preached on that a couple of weeks ago. We got to speak positive in our life. Then no matter what, how the situation look, you know, we got to speak that. Yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm not no failure. I'm gonna make it through. But you can't make it through, and you can't be a winner on your own strength. You know, God had to get glory over your life in order for you to win. You know, so when we in our storm, we have to trust God. Don't trust anything else but God. Because if God see you trusting anything else, He will stop the progress. Because you have to fully trust Him in your storm. Trust Him, I'm a witness. You have to fully trust God in your storm. Because if you trust anything else to try to bring you through, to try to beat any giant down in your life, you're gonna be at a standstill. You're gonna be at a standstill, and the devil will tear you up into pieces. And you'll be sitting in that pit, then you'll be calling out on God, like Jonah did. God get him assignment. He goes in there. He goes. God allowed him to be in that big old fish mouth, and then he started praying to God. He started praying to God, and see, David had God in his life ever since he was a boy. You know, God handpicked David among his brothers. You know, handpicked him. You know, his brother was way bigger than him, older than him, but God did not choose them. God chose David. You know, so David had God in his life ever since he was a boy, a little boy. You know, so he fully trusted God, fully had confidence, you know, that when he goes out there, that he was going to beat that giant. You know, he need to be dressed with all kind of weapons all the while. He told Saul to take that off of him. You know, he couldn't stand up. He couldn't even walk. And so Saul like, well, what you going to use? What you going to go out there? You know how big that giant is? And they were like, you know how big our God is? You know, we have to realize our God is way bigger than a giant. You know, so we have to realize we have a mighty God that's bigger than any giant that come in your life. You know, so Saul was panicking. You know, they're like, what you gonna go out there with? You know, telling him, you know how big that giant is. So they were like, you know how big our God is. You know, so we have to have trust and confidence. You know, they just like me. I was in the pit. I thought there was no way out. You know, but I trusted God. I trusted God, and I had so much faith and confidence that God was going to work it out. And guess what? I just kept on putting my material out, kept on putting in the hard work, knowing it didn't even look good for me, you know, but I just kept on working, kept on putting it up because I had so much faith and I had so much trust and confidence in God that no matter how your situation look, you have to have trust and you have to have faith and confidence that God gonna pull you out. God didn't pull you in a storm to leave you in that storm. You know, sometimes it might look and feel that way, you know, but He will not abandon us in our storm Look at the Israelite. It was years before they got to their promised land. But guess what? God was with them the whole time. The whole time. God was with them. God was dropping food for them. They was walking around for years and their shoes did not tear. They didn't get holes or bruises on their foot. Clothes didn't wear out. They were still in perfect peace. But God will still be by your side no matter how long your battle is. And I felt it bad at one time. I'm like, man, this battle is so long and it's so hard and difficult. But then y'all read the Bible and see how the Israelite was in this storm much long, way longer than I was. But God was right there by their side. Never lost their side. Never left their side. And he was with David. Half of David's life. David was running from Saul. You know, then he felt the type of way at one time, but he still had trust in God. Had trust in God. And when Saul was gone, then he was king over Israel. Now remember, he was anointed since he was a boy, but he didn't get in position until Saul departed. So he had trust and faith in God. It waited a long time before he got in position, but he got in position. Because he trusted in God ever since he was a boy. We have to do the same thing, no matter how our storm look. We have to have faith and trust in God. That God didn't get us this far to be this far. No matter how giant our enemy is, we have to keep on trusting in God. We don't need all them kind of weapons to beat our to beat the giant. Look at David. David didn't need a slingshot and had trust in God. He said, I'm going out there in the name of the Lord in my slingshot. And that's what he did. And he won. And he didn't only won, he took the giant head off. So this pack was about no matter how big your giant is in your stone, no matter how it look, you have to trust God and you have to believe. We have a mighty God. The mighty God is way powerful than the devil. So we have to not panic because our giant might look so big over us. Our problem might look so big over us. But we have to trust in God. No matter how big the storm is, no matter how big our giant is, we have to still trust in God. We have to have confidence in believing that our storm, see, God know our storm to finish. He already know. But see, our stone is God's stone because God already be written out the plan, so that's why he already know the beginning to the end. Because I remember years and years ago when my battle had first started, and it wasn't that bad then. So I'm sleeping, I'm hearing a verse say, "You will win," and I'm like, "I win what?" Because see, God already write out your stone. He already written out your stone. So he already know the beginning to the end. So if he say you're going to win, you're going to win. Or he going to have to make you win. Because he don't break a promise. So God been in David's life ever since he was a boy. So David already know how to trust God. Because he been trusting God ever since he was a boy. So God handpicked David among his brothers. And David been following God lead ever since. Now he made mistakes down the line, but he been following God lead the whole time. So I hope y'all enjoyed this word and remember, no matter how big your stone is, remember how big our God is. And always trust and have confidence like David did. Believe that you can bring any giant down that's in your life. So have a blessed night and I'll see y'all in the next video.